June 12, 1994. A calm summer night in Brentwood, Los Angeles. But behind the quiet streets of this wealthy neighborhood, something horrific was unfolding. At around 10:15 p.m., Nicole Brown Simpson, the ex-wife of football legend O.J. Simpson, and her friend Ronald Goldman were brutally murdered outside Nicole's condominium. Nicole was found lying at the foot of the stairs, nearly decapitated. Ronald Goldman, a waiter and friend, lay nearby, stabbed multiple times. The crime was savage, fast, personal, and shocking. Within hours, police began piecing together a trail of evidence that would soon lead to one of the most famous names in America. O.J. Simpson wasn't just any suspect. He was a football hero, a record-breaking running back for the Buffalo Bills, a charismatic actor, a familiar face in commercials, a man who had transcended sports to become a symbol of success. But that image was about to shatter. When detectives arrived at Nicole's home, they discovered a bloodied glove. Soon after, more clues surfaced. Blood droplets on the driveway, a bloody footprint, and a matching glove later found at O.J.'s estate on Rockingham Avenue. Officers also found O.J.'s white Ford Bronco with blood inside. They believed the evidence was overwhelming. When police tried to contact Simpson for questioning, he agreed to turn himself in. But on the day he was supposed to surrender, he disappeared. On June 17, 1994, millions of Americans sat glued to their televisions as helicopters tracked a white Ford Bronco crawling down a California freeway. Inside was O.J. Simpson, in the passenger seat holding a gun to his head. His friend Al Collins was driving. What began as a manhunt turned into a surreal national spectacle, part police chase, part live soap opera. The chase lasted nearly 2 hours and ended at Simpson's home, where he finally surrendered. Inside the car, police found a disguise, cash, his passport, and a note, what many believed to be a suicide letter. America was watching, and the story had only just begun. The state of California charged O.J. Simpson with 2 counts of first-degree murder. The trial began in January 1995, and from day one, it became the most-watched court case in history. The prosecution team, led by Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden, argued that Simpson was a jealous, abusive ex-husband who had finally snapped. They presented DNA evidence, a relatively new but powerful tool at the time. Blood found at the crime scene matched O.J.'s. Blood from Nicole and Goldman was discovered in his car, in his house, even on his socks. According to the state, there was no question O.J. Simpson had killed them. But Simpson's defense team, quickly dubbed the Dream Team, had other plans. The Dream Team included some of the most high-profile attorneys in America. Johnny Cochran, a charismatic defense lawyer known for his flair and powerful oratory. Robert Shapiro, a skilled negotiator. F. Lee Bailey, a master of cross-examination. Barry Scheck and Peter Neufeld, experts in DNA analysis. And Robert Kardashian, one of O.J.'s closest friends. Their strategy was clear: to dismantle the prosecution's evidence and to shift the focus from guilt to doubt. They argued that the Los Angeles Police Department had mishandled evidence, contaminated crime scenes, and in some cases, fabricated findings. And at the heart of their argument was Detective Mark Furman, one of the first officers at the scene. Furman was accused of planting the bloody glove at O.J.'s estate. When the defense revealed that Furman had used racial slurs in the past and had been recorded making racist statements, it shook the credibility of the LAPD and the entire case. The defense framed the trial as not just about one man, but about race, corruption, and a justice system that had long been biased against Black Americans. Meanwhile, the prosecution struggled to keep jurors focused on the physical evidence. They had mountains of DNA, fingerprints, and forensic links tying O.J. to the murders. But in the mid-1990s, DNA evidence was still poorly understood by the public. The defense capitalized on that confusion, pointing out small inconsistencies in how samples were collected and stored. They argued that contamination and police error could have easily compromised the results. Then came one of the most unforgettable moments in courtroom history. Prosecutors had found a pair of bloody gloves, one at the crime scene, one at O.J.'s property. They believed they were the killer's gloves. So during the trial, they asked Simpson to try one on. Before millions watching live, O.J. struggled to pull the glove over his hand. It appeared too small. That single visual moment changed everything. Defense attorney Johnny Cochran seized it instantly. In his closing argument, he delivered the now legendary line, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." Those 7 words became the defining phrase of the trial, a symbol of reasonable doubt, and a slogan that resonated far beyond the courtroom. The trial lasted more than 8 months. By the time the jury began deliberating, America was exhausted and deeply divided. When the verdict was announced on October 3, 1995, the entire nation paused. After less than 4 hours of discussion, the jury returned its decision. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder. O.J. Simpson was acquitted. In the courtroom, gasps filled the air. Outside, emotions erupted, some celebrating, some enraged. For many Black Americans, the verdict represented long-awaited justice against a system seen as corrupt and racially biased. For many white Americans, it was an incomprehensible miscarriage of justice. The case had torn open the country's racial wounds and forced a national reckoning with the meaning of truth, justice, and equality under the law. But the story didn't end there. 2 years later, the families of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman filed a civil lawsuit against O.J. Simpson for wrongful death. Unlike the criminal trial, the civil case didn't require proof beyond a reasonable doubt, only a preponderance of evidence. This time, the jury found Simpson liable for the deaths and ordered him to pay $33.5 million in damages. He never paid most of it. Over the years, O.J. Simpson lived a strange, almost surreal life, part celebrity, part outcast. In 2006, he announced a book project titled If I Did It, describing how he would have committed the murders, a move that sparked outrage. The book was ultimately published, with profits going to the Goldman family. Then, in 2007, O.J. found himself in trouble again. In Las Vegas, he and several others stormed a hotel room to retrieve sports memorabilia he claimed had been stolen from him. The confrontation turned violent, and Simpson was charged with armed robbery and kidnapping. In 2008, he was sentenced to up to 33 years in prison. He served 9 years before being granted parole in 2017. O.J. Simpson's story didn't end in prison. He spent his later years in Nevada, living quietly, posting occasionally on social media, and remaining a polarizing figure in American culture. He continued to insist on his innocence until his death in April 2024 at age 76. Even in death, the debate lingers. Was O.J. Simpson a victim of racial bias and a flawed justice system? Or did fame, money, and brilliant lawyering allow a guilty man to walk free? Nearly 3 decades later, the O.J. Simpson case remains more than just a trial. It's a mirror of America itself. It revealed deep racial divisions, questioned the credibility of law enforcement, and transformed the way the media covered crime. It changed the public's understanding of DNA evidence. It turned lawyers into celebrities and courtrooms into entertainment. It blurred the line between justice and spectacle. And it left behind one haunting question that still echoes through history. Can anyone truly outrun justice?